Revenge doesn't always have to be pro or nuclear to be good. No, sometimes it can be petty, like you'll see in this episode of Petty Revenge. Our first one is from Jennifer. Development has been taking over my town. It's inevitable, of course, as a lot of people from major cities further up north are moving down here, but it's sad at the same time seeing the fields and forests I used to play in growing up being paved over and turned into condominiums and strip malls. It has also caused the cost of living to increase tremendously, in an area where many people are already struggling to stay afloat, so as you can imagine, my grandfather, an old stubborn Dutch man who moved over here and lived on this property since the 50s, has something to say about it. The street my grandfather lives on used to be backed by a massive forest, but in recent years, developers have bought all the forest and 90% of it has been torn down except for this one small, probably 2-acre chunk of forest in the middle of this open field, where my grandfather refuses to sell his land. Of course, this is bringing the developers' plans to a halt as they can't pave and build around this single chunk of forest, so all they can do is really wait for him to sell his land. He's been in conflict with these developers for over a year now, and from my understanding, they are offering a lot of money. Well, knowing my grandfather, for as long as he stands on this earth, absolutely no amount of money will convince him to sell that land. I know how frustrating this is for some people, specifically the developers who want nothing more than to throw up some cardboard houses and pocket close to $1 million per, but I have decided that when my grandfather's time is up, I will continue his legacy and make sure that piece of land is never sold. That is my petty revenge. Edit. I'm usually not this type of Redditor, but I wanted to thank everyone for all of the kind words, support, and advice. Reading some of these comments actually brought tears to my eyes, and I will be sure to pass along all of your kind words to my Oppa. I will be contacting the city to see if there's anything we can do to preserve his forest. Thank you again. You know, I look at it like if it's his land, it's his choice what he wants to do with it, and if he's choosing not to sell, then more power to him. And the fact that you want to continue that legacy as some petty revenge, that's beautiful. This next one is by PaleX222. Sorority rented a floor above ours. We shared our Wi-Fi with them. Didn't make a peep about weird jumping, throw their body to the floor game, streams of people and parties Thursday through Sunday. Asked politely twice to tone it down during midterms on Tuesday and Wednesday. They did not and were rude about it. They also did not notice that we regulated our hot water use, like reasonable neighbors, so that our giant bathtub didn't drain it from the rest of the building in one go, or that it was entirely our choice. Weekend rolls around and they're all about to start getting ready to go out. I filled myself a lovely, long bubble bath, 3 nights in a row. Only one other tenant in occupancy, a morning shower once a week guy, who wholeheartedly supported this punitive measure as a weekly surprise suspension, or whenever we got sick of their shit. Also strategically gobbled bandwidth to annoy and inconvenience instead of immediately locking it down. That's petty if I've ever heard it, and honestly, that's perfect at the same time, because if they don't want to be considerate neighbors, then why should you be considerate of their needs, or rather luxuries? This next one is from Crossbones. So in the past, my girlfriend went in one end and out the other of a deeply unhappy relationship with an ex who was lazy, cheated on her repeatedly, gaslighting, and what have you. Anyway, fast forward to now and I've discovered that she still has access to his Alexa that's connected to all the lights in his house. Can confirm that it's incredibly funny egging her on to randomly switching his master bedroom light on at 3 AM, especially when the apps show him turning it off seconds later. Apparently, she's taken to absent-mindedly switching his lights on and off when she's bored and waiting for her lunch or something. It's the little things that make time fly. You would think you would put 2 and 2 together and realize that she still has access to the Alexa and it's her controlling it, but for all we know, he's probably losing it thinking his house is haunted. And that's just funny. This next one is by Grimghoul00. I've been doing street outreach for a year. Some of the situations on the job are life and death, so I go to work every day trying to do my best for my clients. That being said, I genuinely don't feel like I have time for meddling ass coworkers. I work the weekend shift, and every week, without avail, the Monday crew complains on me for something. At first, it did start out from mistakes I had made. For example, one night some clients had been eating in the back of the work van and there were crumbs I didn't vacuum out. I apologized, and then every Sunday after that, I would vacuum the van. Despite my diligent cleaning, the crumb complaints continued. The final straw was 2 weekends ago when I got an earful from one of the Monday crew that, on my shift, I had left all of the supplies in the van and hadn't cleaned. Here's the thing, I vividly remember cleaning. Petty revenge number 1. I told my supervisor about this complaint and he went back on the cameras. They clearly show me taking all of the supplies out of the van and cleaning it. I told the complaining coworker I had gone back on the cameras and he immediately started backpedaling and pointing the finger at his work partner. He told me his partner had been the one who'd been filing these complaints every fucking Monday. At this point, I was about 50 shades of done with this bullshit, so I enacted a plan. Every Sunday, I'm going to do something petty that won't hurt anybody, but will be mildly annoying. Petty revenge number 2. 2 weeks ago, I changed the clock in the work van 45 minutes ahead so these fools will think they showed up late to work. Petty revenge number 3. Every Sunday, I make sure to adjust the driver and passenger seats all the way forward so that they gotta pull them back before they can get in at the start of their shift. I'm trying to think of more stuff to do, but the moral of the story is, if you complain about shit that isn't happening, I will give you something to complain about. You know, reading this I was asking myself, how could it get more and more petty, and it sure did, but when you really think about it, that is a good point. They're complaining about things that didn't even exist, so if they're gonna complain, give them a reason to. This next one is from XAJ13. My fiance has a coworker who is an alcoholic to the fullest. Without alcohol, it seems he can't function, so he's got a problem to say the least. Well, my fiance likes to drink as well, but in his free time and off of work. Well, his boss hosts weekly cool out nights for all the workers to chill and just relax. These past weeks, my fiance has brought his bourbon and it's always had liquor stolen out of it. We didn't think much of it because all the boys seem to share their drinks and whatnot, but it always seems to be his bottle that gets the most taken from. His boss put up cameras recently in his house, and when nobody was paying attention, he saw that this one coworker was taking an absurd amount of shots out of his bottle. We already assumed it was him, but we just didn't know, so now we had proof. The next week, my fiance put habanero juice in his alcohol to test the waters because he was just trying to see if coworker was going to do it again. Sure enough, when everyone was playing ping pong on the back deck, coworker tries to take some shots. All we hear is gagging and coughing. Well, coworker fucked up. He's telling everyone his throat hurts and feels like it's on fire, saying, "What the fuck is this?" Needless to say, coworker never drank from my fiance's bottle again. I can't even imagine the look on his face or the fact that he effectively ratted himself out to stealing the extra liquor. I really hope he never drinks from anybody's bottle again and learned his lesson. And our final one is by Hegel. I was just at the pharmacy in a longish line to collect my prescription. A lady walks in and goes and stands near one of the cashiers instead of taking her place at the back of the line. The people at the cashier she stood near had just got there and were taking a long time to get started. I waited until a couple more people joined the back of the line and the people she stood near were finishing. I said loudly, "The line's over here." She had no choice but to come over because everyone was looking at her, but she did show me how important she was by slowly shaking her head at me as she went to the back of the line scowling. I never understood those people who felt like they need to be first in line, that they're more important than everybody else who's been waiting. And her walking by slowly shaking her head, she just knows that you're the one that called her out because apparently nobody else in the line was willing to. Alright, that's enough pettiness for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Petty Revenge. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, have a great day and stay safe out there.